Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed by endless to-do lists, constant distractions, and never enough time? What if I told you just a few small changes could transform your workday, your life, starting right now? Hi, everyone. Productivity doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need fancy tools or expensive apps to get started. Today, with the help of my guest, we share 5 practical tips that will simplify your workday. Let's dive in. Gerrit, welcome to Amplify with Lynette. I'm excited. It's a new year, 2020 Thrive, as you pointed out to me. And we're talking about leveling up your productivity in 2025. You're a productivity specialist. What is it that you do?
I help people get into bed at night with a big smile on their faces because everything they wanted to do today has been done. That's the ultimate end, I think, in mind. But more seriously, what we do is we help individuals, and when I say we, it's just a small little business, two of us. We help individuals and teams to dramatically improve their productivity. And if I may give my definition of productivity, productivity is not just rushing through a list of check boxes. Productivity is getting the right things done. And you will notice that I omitted the word more. Productivity is getting the right things done easier, faster, and better. So that's what I do.
So in society and in life, we've really become attached to instant gratification. Everything has to happen fast, 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 fast. But slowing down to get things done fast is also a smart way of living and working.
Yeah, it's a paradox, of course. Slow down to speed up. But it really works that way because when we rush through checklists, when we rush through to-do lists, we make mistakes. I think it's been shown that people who rush make 25% more mistakes than people who don't rush. And rushing creates rework. So one of the important principles that we will discuss maybe today is slowing down to speed up. It just makes sense. It makes business sense as well, because who wants to repeat the same job more than once?
So where do you start when you start looking at your productivity levels or your outputs?
When you say I assume we're talking about my clients. So we then
Yes.
ask them what their current issues are, if I may use that word, or challenges. And then we have what you have at the screen at the moment, the 8 ways to productivity mastery. We like to believe that we help our clients solve problems. We don't just teach the technology. Technology training you can get on Udemy and wherever else. But so the framework is the 8 ways to productivity mastery. Today we're just going to focus on 5. I combined them a little bit. But the first one, you'll see the 3 spaces here. The orange, prepare for the job. It's like ready. And then do the job, the green part, and improve. Because I think as human beings, we always want to improve. So just very briefly, productive mind simply means calm down your mind and get rid of your unproductive limiting beliefs. Clarity. What is the purpose of your life and what is the work you need to do? And then once you've decided that, you need to align your daily calendar with what makes sense to you. So that's the third one there, alignment. Then number 4, slow down to speed up, is look before you leap. And then moving into the execution part. Sorry, Lynette, yeah?
No, no, no. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I hope that we get a chance to really dig our teeth into this, to expand on it and to give some practical examples of how it affects our lives and how you can literally reorganize not only your mind, but your workflow at the office, or if you work remotely, wherever you are, that you create your own system that works for you, your work personality, and the way your mind operates.
Exactly. And I want to pause on the word system. And if you look at the word system as an acronym, a system is something that saves you stress, time, effort, money.
Wait, repeat. System is stress. Why
If you look,
you
saves
stress saves you stress, time,
time, effort, money.
effort, money. I
Yeah,
wrote it down. I needed to write it down.
excellent. So if somebody says to you, hey, I've got this system, Stop them there and say, okay, show me how your system saves you stress, time, effort, and money. And if there are gaps, then they don't have a fully operational system. So
Got
you're
it.
quite right.
Right.
So then you go into the green
Let's
part.
continue.
Yeah. Flexibility, focus, and finish what you start. And today we can talk about flexible focus. And my good friend Igno van Niekerk taught me about flexibility and focus. I first had them the other way around, focus and then be flexible. He said, no. He's a keen photographer. If you take a picture, you first frame the picture, and then you focus within the frame. So you talked about working from home and working at the office. Those are all different frames for our work. So depending on where you are, you can then focus on what to do. If you're not in the shop, you can't focus on buying peanut butter or whatever the case may be. So, and you also talked about organizing. Sometimes people say, let's get organized, but they miss one important step. What really matters most to me? Because you can be organizing the incorrect things, and you can be perfectly organized having the wrong things organized. So,
but I've noticed, Gerard, that a lot of people hold this belief that the more you can do, the more you can accomplish. It says that you are more productive because you've got this limited time frame that you just churn out jobs or projects and you finish it. And as soon as you're done, more comes, or people or bosses give you more because you have now proven yourself to be effective. But you said earlier on 25% chance of making mistakes. Elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, so people who rush, and I can just speak for myself. Maybe you can confirm this, that when we rush, it's been shown that people who rush make 25% more mistakes than people who don't. We all make mistakes. But hey,
yes,
why put yourself at a risk of making more mistakes than you would normally make? So, and again, I want to emphasize, and you're quite right, the mindset is the more the better. But the more of the wrong things, is that better? No. Right things, yes. So if and we talk about prioritizing, people want to get organized, but they first need to prioritize. And they're talking about to-do lists, Lynette, there's a very simple way of prioritizing. And let me share with you, it's 135. For today,
135.
one big thing, however you define big, but one big thing today, 3 medium things, and then 5 small things. So for me today, my one big thing is talking with you.
Okay. What are your 3 medium things, if I may be so bold?
Yeah, sure. No, my 3 medium things is I want to go for a walk. I just came back from a 7-week visit to my daughter and granddaughters in Australia, and we walk the dog every day. So I'm in the habit of walking 3 kilometers every day. I know it's not a long distance, but it works for me. So that's a medium thing for me today, is get my walk in today. Another medium thing is really important. We work with a client, and we're putting together for the first time like a training portal in their company using SharePoint, which is fantastic. So that's a medium thing for me today. And the third medium thing would be just to relax and enjoy and have fun. Small things are things like check the email, etc. So, but I think it's important. Stephen Covey taught us about the so-called big rocks. If you have a flask and you have big rocks and pebbles and sand, you put the sand in first, you don't take everything in. Put the big rocks in first, then the pebbles, then the sand, everything fits in. So 135, one big thing today, 3 medium things and 5 smaller things. And you define, whatever that means to you. So organize,
and
yes.
Can you carry your 5 small things? Can you carry it over if you don't get to it? Because I think this is only a framework so that you can organize your day.
Exactly. And if I'm going to exaggerate now, if let's say I've got 5 flies in the room and I want to kill them today, those are my 5 small things. If I only kill 4 of them, I'll get the other one tomorrow. It's not going to impact me on achieving my purpose. That's the big thing. Is what I must quote the old Stoic philosopher. I love Stoicism, Epictetus, who said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." So on 1 January every year, I sit down and I don't create a to-do list for the year or New Year resolutions. I write down a to-be list
Mm.
because I think our being is central. Imagine 3 circles: be, do, have. Focus on the be first. I want to be more patient. I want to be curious. I want to be a good grandfather. I want to be a good friend. I want to be a good facilitator. That's what I want to be. Now, the things that I want to be then trigger certain actions, and that will bring results. But here's a really important thing. And I'm quoting Erich Fromm, who said, "If I am what I have and I lose what I have, what then am I?" So if I allow my motor car to define my life and I lose my car, what then am I? If I allow my job title to define me and I lose my job, what then am I? But nobody can steal my being. So that's why I'm
Mm.
making a bit of a dance about that. But first say to yourself what you would be. That's the priority thing. And the second part of that, I'm just going to emphasize differently. First say to yourself what you be. Then do what you have to do. 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 And then do what you
It's
have to
the
do.
emphasis that changes.
Exactly, but it's the same thing. It's really important, taking responsibility for your life, deciding where you want to take your life to, and do the things that will get you there. That's habit
So
one, two,
if
and three
we
of in one sentence.
let me recap. One big thing,
Yeah,
three medium things, and you get to determine what those three medium
yeah,
things are, and five small things, and
yeah,
you get to decide how you want to structure, I would imagine, your day and your time, but that helps you to prioritize where your energies are going to go.
exactly. And if I may just say something about organizing in your calendar. Here's a saying, I believe this is true. If you don't take charge of your calendar, other people will. If you
What do
leave
you mean
open
by
space,
that?
what I mean by that is if, let's say, my one big thing today is this talking with you, I book out 3 hours or 2 hours for that. It shows in my calendar as busy. So other people can't take this time. I took responsibility to book this in my calendar. If I left this open and 2 or 3 other people want to meet with me and they book slots, then they take charge of my calendar. Then I'm not in charge of my calendar anymore.
Mm.
So the one big thing and the three medium things, I suggest they go into the calendar. You take responsibility, you put them in, you block at the time, and you can even put something in your calendar that I like calling a no-fly zone. It simply means you put it in your calendar. It works, eh? Abbreviated NFZ, and then whatever calendar you use, color code it. If calendar item has NFZ in the subject line, mark it red. And then other people can look and say, hey, no fly zone. If I go and see Gerrit in this time, he will shoot me down in flames. It's a no fly zone. And,
Because
we're
that
talking,
is that does that mean, Gerrit, does that mean that that is time allocated just for you?
yeah, and I can do whatever I want to. It's not personal stuff. It may be going to the dentist could be no fly zone. But let me give you an example of that. One of our clients, there were 30 people, and we did some training with them, and I suggested to them to do this no-fly zone thing from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock every day. They said it will never work here, which is what we get all the time. We're different. It won't work here. But productivity principles work like gravity. Gravity, I think, is the best example for me of what a principle is and how it operates. Gravity works for everyone. It works everywhere. It has worked for all time and it will work for all time. And it works whether you like it or not. So when people push back and say, oh, this won't work for us, I challenge them and I say, do it for a week and tell me what happened. They did it for a week and they say it's the best thing ever. So in their office, it was an open plan office, they instituted 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, no fly zone. You sit there and you do your stuff. You don't talk to anybody. You don't email it. You do your things. It's the best thing they ever done. So, but that's taking charge, isn't it? That's putting stuff in your calendar, and nobody else can get that time because it's your time. I hope that clarifies the
But
no-fly zone idea.
yeah, it does, because all I'm thinking is you are so busy being in work mode that you use your entire day, your time, your calendar to accommodate everybody else. And you're really not doing anything tangible to get to, say, for example, you decided you wanted to have more of a work-life balance. There is no time just maybe for a walk, or deciding I'm going to take my lunch break, but then I'm going to go and drink water, or I'm going to just walk around, or I'm just going to journal. Something that's just yours, in your mind, in your space, that no one else makes demands on your time or you being present in that time.
Exactly. And you asked for practical examples of slowing down to speed up. You just mentioned a couple. Take a break.
Oh well,
Go for
I
a walk.
can't. let's quickly wrap up here with finish what
Okay.
you start before we get to the meat and potatoes of productivity and clarity. So finish
Okay.
what you start.
Yeah, finish what you start is just really. I don't know. Have you ever played golf, Lynette, or do you play golf?
Yes, I have. And you know what? This is one of my big things for
Okay.
2020 Thrive, is to get back to golfing, because I had a coach in 2014, then I fell
Okay.
pregnant, then I couldn't do it. Then in 2015 I had to have a refresher course, which I then did, and then I got busy with life. But this is what I've learned, and this is one of my goals, that finish what you start. And in my case,
Excellent.
it's going to be a little bit later, but it's on the plans. It's
That's fine.
definitely on the books.
We're talking about procrastination maybe just now, but this is an example of creative procrastination. You couldn't do it. The time
Okay,
wasn't ready.
4 years,
That's
a
fine. It could
few
be 40
years.
years as well, as long as you finish it. But why I asked the golf example is, by the way, I used to play golf, but I stopped because I could never figure out what the short grass down the middle was for.
Oh, but why would you let that stand in your way?
I was finding my way in the bushes on the sides of the small of the short grass. But
Okay,
yeah, here's my question about the golf. Have you ever hit a hole in one, Lynette?
I've never, but
What's
I
the
will.
closest? What's the closest you
Oh
came?
no. Let's be realistic. Note to self: because I haven't completed a full game, I've never considered myself as a golfer. I've always seen myself, even with my vegetable garden, I've seen myself as an emerging farmer, an emerging golfer. The vision is there, the goal is there. I speak life into it, but I also realize you might have this grandeur visions, but it has to be backed up and have a foundation of actions. So this year, that is my intention, is to have more actions, and doing it on Fridays, strangely, to actually just go and either putt or practice or go to the range, just to also absorb, right? See, be amongst. It makes it so much easier to get into the habit of the doing if you put yourself in that position.
That's profound. What you actually said is, get the joy, and you will only get joy from doing things that matter most to you. So let's say you've scheduled an hour for golf practice, and something else comes in, and you end up doing that. At the end of the day, you'll probably feel, I was so busy, but I didn't really accomplish what really matters to me. And that's a frustration for many people. Busy, the old productivity, if you can call it that. Busy, 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 busy. Do, check, 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 check. And at the end of the day, they have to say to themselves, I've been so busy today, but what did they actually achieve? And there's a
Mm.
disconnect between what's on your schedule and what your vision for life is. Now, I want to pick up on what you said. Really, really. Sorry, Lynette. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, I actually wanted to just quickly take a segue and say, we have become so accomplished in our lives that being busy seems like an achievement. And
Mm.
people often say, I'm so sorry, man, we can't, I'm so busy. Or they'll say, don't worry, I can multitask. I can do this and then I can do this. But you do so many things, but you don't finish it.
Exactly. And one of our clients said to us we do have these online workshops which are fantastic. And one of them said to me, this finish what you start is really important, because the things that I don't finish today, they keep calling my name at the night, during the night. That's lovely. They keep calling my name. So why? Just to finish finish what I started here, Lynette, is the golf thing. If you hit your ball on a short hole and your ball ends up this far from the hole, it's almost a hole in one, but it's not. There you go. So finish what you start. If your ball ends up there, I mean, hey man, you're going to dream about this forever. That's the branch of a blinkblad waggebietjie thorn tree or a buffalo thorn tree. Now, coming to learn and improve, I take this as an analogy. You will see it's just called the Ziziphus mucronata. And you'll see that it's not just a straight line. If you just put that up again, I just want to talk to something there. You see it every time there's a slight change in direction of this branch or twig, there's a pair of thorns. A short thorn, that's a crooked thorn, and a long thorn pointing in the opposite direction. Now, this is about learning and improving. Every time there's a change in our lives, and I see the end of every workday as a change. And the Shangaan people take a life lesson from this. They say there are many changes in life. Every time there's a change in life, there's a pair of thorns that form. A short crooked thorn looking backwards, and a long one looking forward. So learn and improve for me at the end of every day. Take 20 minutes or 15 minutes. The duration doesn't matter, but the action matters. Review your day. What worked, what didn't work? Are there any things that I still need to do? So that's the review. So you learn from today to make tomorrow better. So that's learning and improving. It's continuous improvement, or Kaizen, if you want to use the fancy terms. Does that answer your thought there, Lynette, about
my current thoughts? My current thoughts. We're chatting about how to level up in 2025, and Gerrit Klute is a productivity specialist, and he's giving us just 5 hacks how to do this in your life. And I actually just wanted us to go back to your slide where we started, Gerrit, and you had mentioned a productive mind. Talk to me about a productive mind and what that refers to and what that entails.
Okay, thank you. You can put that slide of the lake up again. It's just easier to talk to that. Imagine a calm lake like that, and you throw a small pebble in there. What would you see?
You'd see a ripple effect.
Okay. And if you take a huge big rock and throw it in there, what do you see?
A splash.
There you go. It's a different response, a different thing. Now, if you look at the raging Whitewater River, the next slide, that is, if you throw a small pebble into that raging Whitewater River, what do you see?
Well, it's literally splashes, there's gushing of water, a lot of disruption.
Yeah,
but there's progress. The fact that they're rowing.
No, that's good. But if you throw a small pebble into that river, what
well, it's going to get lost. It's going to get lost. You're not going to see anything.
And if you throw a big rock in there, also, you won't see any response because unless you hit somebody in the boat. Now, here's the point. Productive mind means calm down your mind so that when anything comes your way, it's like a calm lake. You will respond appropriately. If your mind is like all over the show, and you may respond inappropriately to an email. It may be the most important email, but because you can't focus on what's going on because your mind is all over the show, you may respond inappropriately. So that's the one aspect of a productive mind, is calm down your mind. And I'd like to give a practical tip, and this is so easy to do, and it has such a huge impact. Now, David Allen, in his wonderful book, Getting Things Done, calls it a mind dump. You can call it whatever you want to, a brain dump. In Afrikaans, I like the word a kopskrop. And what you do is you grab a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen. I suggest not on the keyboard because we tend to correct.
No, don't worry.
Yeah.
I come prepared.
Wonderful. It's so easy with pen and paper. What does it mean? And you can do it in the morning. I like doing it in the afternoon because then I dump my head, and all that is you simply write down anything and everything that comes into your head. Personal, business, small, big, doesn't matter. Changing your career has the same space in your head as buying chocolate. So everything goes into the mind dump. And that changes your head from a whitewater river to a calm mind. And a calm mind, I believe, is a productive mind.
Hey, Amplifier wanted to quickly pop out from the conversation. I hope you're enjoying the content as much as I am. Did you know that about 90% of the people who watch this podcast on YouTube actually aren't subscribed to the channel? I want to thank you for watching and listening. And could you do me a favor? Hit that subscribe button and a like if you are enjoying the conversation. The more people do that, the more people get to see it and we get to share in it. Let's jump back in.
I don't know what your thoughts are about this.
I have that practice, but I'm forever writing in my journal when I wake up, because and even also when I dream, I write down, because I believe your subconscious mind is continuously speaking to you, and we actually solve so many problems when we are calm and have peace of mind. But I feel that the first things that come to your mind, write it down, write it down. And I think that's how I've learned to trust my gut, my first instincts about things, because it's from a higher self that gives me and shares that information with me. So I do believe in having a pen and paper at hand, but also it's because of my journalism and journalistic background that I do that. But what I've found is I don't try and do it on my phone, because my phone seems to overstimulate me. So I try to rather write it down, because I engage a different part of my brain by writing and visually seeing myself writing. Whether my handwriting is clear or not, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that I'm engaging that part of my mind. So yeah, I absolutely believe in mind mapping. I absolutely believe in dumping, or just writing, because the best conversations, the best ideas comes from just writing.
I agree with you. And I learned another term the other day, and it's about buffering. Now, what does that mean? You talked about, instant gratification. And sometimes and don't take this negatively, but many people respond immediately to whatever comes their way. If there's an email, now, telephone call, now, WhatsApp, now. And that's when you end up don't really doing what matters most. So I heard this thing of buffering. So I've got, let's say, a piece of paper with me, and let's say you call me, or you send me a WhatsApp, and I'm busy with number one or number two, my big or my medium things. I then just write down, Lynette called. And that's for later. So I create a bit of a buffer zone between when it enters my life and when I choose to respond to it. So always have a piece of paper handy. It can be a book or a loose piece of paper. And I 100% support what you said. When something enters your head, write it down. I just want to say something about doing the mind dump and the effect that it has. In one of our courses, we did the mind dump exercise for maybe 10 minutes or so. And the next day, I received one of the most wonderful emails after a course. And the lady said, "Thank you for the course yesterday. It was wonderful. I enjoyed the mind dump. And last night, I sat down and I did a mind dump like you can't believe. I sat down and I wrote for 2 hours. And here's the kicker. For the first time in many months, I had a night of uninterrupted sleep." That's amazing. And that's it's not about the technique of doing a mind dump, but what it does for you. It gives you a calm mind. You can sleep. You can focus more. Like the guys in that whitewater river, almost, they were focused.
It's interesting that you're talking about a mind dump. I often also refer to it as my purging. You just let it come out. You just let it come out. That there's no filter, and you just literally let everything spill over, because that helps to clear your mind. Because whilst you're sleeping or you're trying to sleep, there are competing thoughts all the time.
Exactly. And what I don't do it anymore, because the mind dump helps me not to do it, but I used to keep a voice recorder or a telephone next to my bed. And when I wake up at night and I got, this, switch the thing on and talk it, then I sleep. Because here's the important thing of what you're talking about now is get things out of your head and into your system. And a piece of paper and pen and
Systems.
get things out of your head and into your system. You have to clear your mind. Another thing about productive mind, Lynette, is about the beliefs that we have. Um, and I'm going to ask you an honest question and give us an honest answer. Have you ever said to
Always.
somebody, I don't have the time?
I have. And then I caught myself because I believe if something is really important or if someone is very important, you will prioritize your time. Because
Exactly.
I also what as a journalist, time is very important to me, and
Yeah.
how much time we spend doing things. So I have a rule. My family don't like it, but I say to them when we eat, or even when we watch television, or when we chill together as a family, no devices allowed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what you are projecting is my phone or my device is more important than this moment that we've created. And that moment can never be recreated. Never, never, ever, because the time will be different. The energy, those who are present will be different. So I really make a point of if I give you my time, please respect it. Please acknowledge and be present. So as I show up for you, I expect you to show up for me, to be prepared, but to be present.
If I had a set of drums, I would have given you 10,000
Oh, wait, wait.
No, that's so important. And note to myself, I'd like to send you a bit of a video from David Jones. And he was, long story, but the phrase I want to catch up on is when you said about eating, etc. When we eat, we eat. When we chill, we chill. When I speak with you, I speak with you. And I mentioned earlier the framing, different frames. Your dinner table is a frame. Focus in the frame. This conversation is a frame. Stay focused in the frame. So why I ask you the question of I don't have the time? 99.999% of people, not all of them, have used that phrase before. And here's a funny response to that. Why do you lie about that? Because when you say I don't have the time, you lie. Because you have all the time you will ever have. I know I'm oversimplifying it a little bit, but that's true. It's just a question of what we choose to do with the time. So let's imagine, somebody comes to you and say, let's go and play a game of golf. And you say, I don't have the time. It's not true. It's just that you choose to do something else. But we find these socially acceptable cop-outs to use, like, I don't have the time. I'm too busy. I must take this phone call. No nonsense. If you sit at the table or during a conversation and your phone rings and you would pick it up and you say to somebody, hey, I must take this call. It's not true. But we don't say to them, oh, my phone is ringing. I see it's Lynette. I choose to speak to Lynette now rather than continuing the conversation with you. So please excuse me. We just say, I have to take this call. And guess what? Everybody is okay with that.
So do you suggest that when you go into meetings, for example, and you've now decided on your one big thing and your 3 medium things and your 5 small things, you have a structure in your head of how things are going to play out during the day? Do you then suggest when you get to a meeting that you almost have, say, a disclaimer? I'm expecting a call just to conclude a transaction or a contract, whatever. I'm going to excuse myself for 5 minutes. Please bear with me. So that you've
Good.
already got it out of the way, that
Yeah.
when the phone does ring, the other person, your guest or your partner, whoever's in the meeting, they know, because they can then appropriately adjust themselves as well in that conversation.
Exactly. I like the phrase manage expectations up front. Or
Got it.
deal with things when they show up, not when they blow up. It's I know I'm going to take this call. I'm going to make this call. Tell people. And here's another thing. It fits in with flexible focus. I like to work with a flexible agenda. Many meetings have agenda points 1 to 10, for argument's sake. Where do we start? With number 1, then number 2, then number 3. And then number 8, 9, and 10 get left over to next time. I like to think of having a flexible agenda. So before we start the meeting, yes, have the numbers, but ladies and gentlemen, which one of these is our number 1 for today? Which is our big one for today? Which one will have the biggest impact on me, or rather on our company? Oh, it's number 7 on the agenda. Then we start with that. And then once we've concluded that conversation, focused conversation in the flexible agenda, then we move on and we don't just go to number 8. We say, okay, let's review our list. Which one now has the biggest impact? Because during conversation 1, the context may have changed for the other stuff. And so you continuously adjust your agenda according to the impact that it will have. And of course, every team can decide for themselves, or have their own rules for how do we measure impact. So yes, there's some thoughts there about managing expectations up front and the idea of a flexible agenda. You see, Lynette, what we're talking about today, these productivity hacks, productivity principles, it's like a bowl of jelly. They're all there. You pour in 5 ingredients, 5 hacks, but it's a jelly. You hit the one, brr, the whole thing vibrates. You can't have the one without the other. So, we talked about 1 through 5, then we ended up with flexibility. It's just one big spider web. You touch one, the whole thing vibrates.
I know we set up and we said we were going to focus on about 5 hacks to make your 2020 thrive a little bit more productive, but we've been touching on so many other principles that can really up your game this year, your work game, whatever you want to achieve, how you can literally reset yourself, because some people have apps and some people have systems that has worked, but they also realize, you know what, I've got to step it up a notch. If I want to be counted, if I want to literally make it known that I've changed my game, I've come with my hacks, my principles, my skills, I'm willing to teach or train others, then these little tweaks is necessary, because no matter what your age, we all really want to reassess. We want to do better. We want to have more time for ourselves. And if you can implement this in your life or your work life or even at home, those little tweaks in the end will pay off and you'll score big time.
I agree with 100% with what you say. And there's a saying, and I think I saw it on your website as well, each one teach one.
Yes.
So every hack that you learn, every little tip that you get, even from today, even like the word system, go and teach it to somebody else. Because when we teach, we almost force ourselves to understand better what we're going to teach. So
absolutely, that's why I have a pen and paper. That's why I repeat to you to make sure, did I understand? Because we all also learn and listen differently.
True. So true. But when we teach, we learn. That's my belief. So whatever is, go and teach.
Because at the end of the day, you want people to understand you. You want there to be clarity. And why is clarity powerful?
Well, I think the more fuzzy something is, the less you can do about it. Let me take a simple example. You get into your car was outside for the night. There's a whole bunch of bird, whatever, on the windscreen and dust and leaves. Well, how safe would it be for you to get on the road and drive with that windscreen? You have to take time, slow down to speed up. You have to take time to clean your windscreen, and then you have a clear windscreen. Then you have the power to switch on your car and go. And for me, that's a very practical analogy of clarity is power. Clarity about what? Clarity about who I want to be. We talked about that earlier. And then clarity about what I want to do, which is also an important one. Now, okay, so we talked about the dirty windscreen. So in our lives, we look at our lives through our life windscreen. And if our life windscreen is not clear, what do you know what to do? And we all have different areas in our lives, like family, business, friends, sport, etc. Now, I'd like to tell you a story about the starfish and link that to clarity and the effect of not having clarity. The starfish is a fantastic, fantastic animal. It doesn't have a brain, but around its mouth, it has what's called a neural ring or a nerve ring. And the nerve ring is connected to all of the legs of the starfish or the limbs of the starfish. And I never knew this, but at the end of every limb, there's a light-sensitive thing, not the eye, but it senses light. So the legs send information to the neural ring or the nerve ring all the time. And the nerve ring then decides, for the good of the whole organism, let's go to the place that has the best chance for us to survive. Now, if you cut through the neural ring, then this happens. So the starfish then pairs itself apart, because every limb still thinks, hey, I've got to go and look for food. And without the coordination of the nerve ring, it's just chaos and the thing kills itself. I haven't gotten any medical proof of that, but that's what happens. So how does that relate to ourselves and clarity? We need a nerve ring for our lives, coordinating the various areas of our lives. You mentioned work-life balance. Formal work is one thing. Life is another thing. But, life consists of work and family and friends and all these things. Now, we need to consider, Covey calls it a personal mission statement. What is our mission statement? And if we don't have that clarity, like a starfish, we can find our lives being pulled apart between friends and family, because he who shouts the loudest will get the attention. But if we have something central, if we are clear about our purpose, let's use that word, if you're clear about your purpose, then you can better prioritize and decide on the actions you want to take. So, I don't know, does that make sense to you, Lynette, the idea of a nerve ring in your own life?
It makes sense to me. I'll explain to you how I understood it when you were explaining that. I understand that we all, within a team, for example, we are almost like a starfish, that we are as weak as our weakest link. And sometimes you have to cut off, or you lose that sensor of one of your legs, I would imagine. But when that happens, the rest of the progression, the productivity falls onto the rest of the legs of the starfish, of the team. And then you have to kind of, for survival, work so much harder. So you have to pull even stronger. But you can only do it if you all come together.
And they all come together, that's the nerve ring. So, we talk about values and all that kind of stuff. All of that is really, really important. I have an article called The Way of the Starfish for teams. So a team then gets together, agrees on a set of values for the team. And for every value, I like to call them governing values. There's a set of associated behaviors. Now we have agreed upon the nerve ring. Now let's go and do it. And the 5 legs of the starfish then becomes like the 5 or the 6 or the 7 departments that is represented in this team. And then every team, the magic of a starfish is central coordination, decentralized execution. So the departments feed, let's say there's a team leader, a leadership team consisting of members from different departments in the company. They come together and they get information from the various departments. That gets fed into the nerve ring of this team. And then a central decision is made for the good of, for what's this phrase now, man? For the better good of the greater good, or something like that. For the greater good of the company, let's do this. But then the execution happens in the legs. So the central committee cannot control it can control the legs, but it's decentralized execution. Yeah, so the idea of clarity, for me, just coming back to that, clarity is power. Be clear about your nerve ring as an individual, as a family, as a team. And then you can move in the right way. It's back to prioritizing. And if you can get to the slide, Lynette, with the mountain range and the cloud on top of the mountain range, I think that will help us understand this. There you go. clarity of priorities is like a mountain range. Now, when it rains on the mountain range, some water goes the one way, some water goes the other way. Or our priorities and our nerve ring is like the mountain range. When it rains emails, some emails get a yes, some emails get a no. When it comes to meetings, some meetings get a yes, some meetings get a no. But if you're not clear about your priorities, you cannot make that decision. And then you end up, life is just a big puddle and you don't know what to do. So that's for me is the importance of clarity. Clarity about purpose and clarity about action. So because an inbox is really an unclear collection of stuff. Now we have a process, a system that helps people to identify what needs to be done and then organize according to their priorities. And then work becomes easier.
I want to quickly interrupt you with regards to that. And I know in companies, particularly at the beginning of the year, they talk about what we want to achieve this year. These are the targets, the sale targets that we must meet. I always get the sense that everybody's perception of what is productivity has changed. And often people get stuck into this narrative that productivity means or is measured by the amount of outputs. And that if you deliver more outputs, that somehow determines your value to the company. Speak to that for a moment, please.
Yeah, I think it's a traditional way. But what does a hack mean, by the way? A hack sometimes is just an unconventional way of looking at things. So productivity hacks means, hey, how can we look at productivity differently? And you're quite right. There's a sales target. I agree that that's important. There's a target for this and a target for company harmony or whatever. That's good. But I also recently came across the following thought. Don't attach to the outcome, attach to the process. Fall in love with the process. So if the outcome is, for argument's sake, let's make 5 million rand this month or this year or whatever. Yeah, that's good to have that. It's like my 3-kilometer walk nowadays. But what is the process to get there? We need to do, this is the process. This is the system. Fall in love with the system. Do what needs to be done and the results will follow. Don't get so hung up on the outcome that you do other things. For example, many years ago there was a sevens tournament in Cape Town, and the Blitzbokkies lost in the semi-final. And what happened? About half, if not more, of the stadium, the people left because they were attached to the outcome that the Blitzbokke must win this tournament. And when that disappeared, they left. They were not attached to the process of enjoying the rugby competition. So it's important to have these things, but I don't say don't have goals, but fall in love with the process. Do what needs to be done, and I'm almost sure that if you have those things right, then the right results will follow.